Mark, say you own the Ravens. Okay? Right, you with us?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, even though you got Patriots shirt on, you own the Ravens. Okay. What's the number one statistic that you're going to be looking at week after week after week?
How you doing?
Huh?
How they doing?
Okay, what statistic are you? What particular statistic are you going to look at?
How you winning or losing?
Wins and losses, that's everything, right?
Yep.
If you don't have enough wins, you don't get into playoffs. How much money do the teams make that get into the playoffs? They make a lot. You know, players, you know, if they get into playoff games, they make a lot. If they go all the way to the Super Bowl, they make a whole lot. Okay, so that's the most important thing is wins and losses. So every business has statistics that it looks at, which is wins and losses. I'm going to show you, and I'll share it with you. I haven't done this anytime in 30-some years. This is the first time, but I figured I want you guys to know what we look at and what we have to correct. When I say we need dollar per man hour of $50 or better, when I say we need average job of $400 or better per month, I want you to see why and where we get those numbers and what we do. Percentages of you. How many of you were good in math in school? Huh? Some of you, okay.
Simple, man.
Percentage wise, it's pretty easy. This is like 4th grade stuff, maybe 5th grade
Most is good, man.
stuff. Percentage wise, a whole is how much percentage?
100%.
100%. Okay? If I gave you an apple and that apple was whole, what percentage of that apple did you get?
100%.
If I took a bite out of it, how much would you get?
Maybe 95.
Well, it depends on how big your mouth is, right? Yeah, how big the bite is. But it would be less, right?
Yeah.
Can I give you an apple and say, this is 105% of an apple?
No.
Doesn't work, does it? Just doesn't work. It can't happen. You can't get over of an object of figures of over 100%. In reality. Reality. If I gave you 100% of your paycheck, that'd be the whole thing, right? If I gave you 110% of the paycheck, well, that would be extra money on top of it. But in real world, we can only deal with 100%. So think of it this way. All the money we receive in from all the work that we do equals what percent? 100%. Okay, I can't stretch that to 110%. It's not there, it's only 100%. So every expense that we have categories takes a certain percentage of that. Takes a little hump, just like that apple. You know, if I took a little bite, it'd be a little percentage out. If I took a huge bite, it'd be a whole lot of it out there. Now, if I was going to pass that apple around, don't let it gross you out. But I said, everybody needs to take a bite of that apple. And the first person I gave it to took a half of the apple. That wouldn't leave much for the rest of them, right? That wouldn't leave much for the rest of them. So we're going to be looking at the main percentage that I look at. The first thing I want you to go to is the first list. It looks like something like this. Okay, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 at the top. It may be up like printed like that, but it's a list like that. Everybody have it? Okay, everybody there? Okay, did you get any copies of it?
No, I didn't.
Where are the extra copies? Pass them up here to Mickey. Okay, and there should be plenty extra copies. Make sure everybody has one. Everybody has to have one. Okay, just to go over this real quick, and I only numbered this one at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Column 1, okay, is the date. These are payroll dates. How many payrolls do we get in a year?
52.
How many checks you get a year? How many?
26.
How many payroll periods is there a year? You get paid every 2 weeks. There's 52 weeks in a year. So what's half of 52?
Robert said it.
26. You said it? Okay. All right, good. 26. Okay, so we have 26. So each one of these represents a 2-week period of time. If you look at it, it's a 2-week period of time because that's when payroll is. That's when we get to look at these figures. Okay, so column number 1 is date. Okay, column number 2 is sales. These sales is everything related to HydroClean. Okay, only HydroClean, doesn't have anything to do with certifying. This is just HydroClean, which is our carpet, furniture, drapery, tile and grout cleaning, and air duct cleaning. Okay, so when we do closing payroll, you know, it closes on Saturday, the Saturday of payroll week, Saturday ends. So this represents what that period is, the sales, in that 2-week period of time. Everybody with me? Okay, that's total sales, so that's 100%. Okay, that's the figure that we're working with. Okay, the next column number 3 is payroll, is the payroll dollar. Now this payroll dollar is only the amount that's paid to technicians and helpers. So it's what's paid to you guys for actually doing the work. Okay, there's no administrative payroll in there. There's no office payroll. That is strictly technicians and helpers to do that. We got that? Okay. The next column over, column number 4, is payroll percent. And this is the figure that I look at. So how do we come up with the payroll percent? We take, it's very simple. We take the total sales for that 2-week period of time and divide it by the total payroll for that period of time, and we get a percentage. Okay, everybody with me? That's the percent. Now where the percent needs to be, because when we do a budget, it's like rent, certain percentage, advertising, certain percentage. All of those expenses that we have, phone and computer and truck and insurance and all of that, is a certain percentage. When you add all of those up, they come to 100%. Okay, everybody with me there? Makes sense? Okay. So, we can't go over that 100% because we got X amount of sales. We have 100% of sales, 100%, and that's called budget. Budget area. So therefore, when we come over to percent for payroll percentage, that figure needs to be between 25 and 28%. 25 and 28%. So go down and look at those columns that you have. What do you see? What percentages do you see? What's the lowest you see? Just scan down there. What's the lowest you see?
24.
24. What week was that? All the way to the left, that
4/8
date.
to 4/21.
What was it?
4/8 to 4/21.
4/8 to 4/21. So that was back in April. Okay, pretty good amount. Okay, you see the dollar volume? What is that period of time? Sales.
28,436.
What is it?
28,436.
28,436. And what is payroll cost?
68.47.
68.47. Now go down and look at the highest percentage. What do you see?
37. 43.
43.
43. What date is that?
9/9.
9/9, September. So that was this past September. What was sales?
15.872.
Remember, that's a 2-week period of time. What was payroll?
68.22.
68.22. Now go all the way down to the bottom. What's the last one down to? The last date, the last payroll just ended. What are those dates?
11/4 to 11/7.
What is it?
11/4 to 11/17.
11/4 to 11/17. What's the sales?
35,850.
And what's the payroll amount?
13.31.
And what's the percentage?
37.
Good or bad?
Bad.
Bad. So where do we get that from? 28% is the highest, that we have to stay at 25 to 28. And now we're how much over? Percentage?
Was that on 12%?
12% over. Where does that come from?
For being out there too long? Working too long?
No, where do you get that money from?
Oh.
You know, percentage. That percentage is way out of whack. Now going down to the year, and this is what I always look at. I look for, I look for each payroll period, and then I look for that year's period of time. Okay, what it would be. So what is the year's payroll average percentage?
32%.
32%. Is that good or bad?
Bad.
Bad. Okay. Remember, we need to be 25 to 28, and we're running 32. Okay, go over to the next report that you got that says 2017. Now, I know you're thinking, well, can it be done? Can it be done? Well, we'll look at previous years. I'll just go back 2 years. I could go back as many years as you want. Okay? And this is where we got to keep it in line. So we're at what year now? We're at 2017? Okay, let's just go right down to the bottom. Okay, well, let's go down. What is the highest amount there? Highest percentage for that year?
29%, 30%, right?
The highest one for the year, all the way down. The payroll percentage, scan all the way down and look for any of the highest one.
Looks like 30.
30. Pretty good, isn't it? Okay. What's the percentage for the year?
27.
27.
Are we there?
Yeah.
Yep, right there. Target. So it can be done, right?
Yeah.
2017 it was done. Let's go to the previous year, 2016. What's the highest percentage there?
39.
What is it?
39.
39. So we had 1 week that wasn't real good. What week was that?
January 31st. January 31st.
January. So January after Christmas, yeah, it is a little slow.
Well,
So,
the beginning of
yeah,
February.
notoriously that is a little bit high. Okay. What was it for somewhere around the period of 11/4 to 11/17? That payroll period, not exactly, it won't be the exact same dates from the year, but the pay period that runs somewhere in the 11/4 to 11/17 range.
25 to 26%.
25, 26%. What do we have in 2018?
37.
37%. So see, it can be done. Yes, it can be done. So what do we have for the year total percentage?
27.1.
27.1. So can it be done?
25.1.
Yeah.
Okay, so we looked at 2018, 2017, 2016. You keep on going back. They all fall pretty close. Some years a little bit higher, some years, but this year is really out of whack. So what would cause that?
Not enough sales.
Not enough sales, yeah, that's the one thing. You raise the sales, you take that percentage. If you raise that sales figure higher and the payroll stays the same, yeah, you can really adjust that. So sales, what affects sales?
Weather.
Weather, okay, yeah, it will. But for the year, it kind of always balances out. We get a snowstorm, we had jobs in there had to be canceled. That week may be awful. But what we do is we reschedule them. So over the year's period of time, weather kind of balances out, a little bit. What can be some other things that affect it?
Your work.
Huh?
Your work.
Your work, how?
Like if the customer sees how your work was, if if you did a bad job, they ain't gonna call you again.
Okay, so they won't call you back, won't be repeat, so that affects sales, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sales, okay. What else?
If basically we have a job that's like $200 and we're out longer than that, we're basically making more money as the workers than.
That's dollar per man hour, right?
Yeah.
Dollar per man hour affects it a whole lot. That's a payroll figure. Okay? If we're doing, let's say $1,000 a day, we got 2 guys on the truck, okay, and you're out there for 8 hours. How many man hours is that? 16. So if you divide 16 into 1,000, it's a pretty decent figure. But if you still got 16 man hours and you did $500 worth of work, what does that do? Really affects it. I'm talking about reality. I'm not talking about pie in the sky or anything else. This is reality. Okay? Next thing I want you to look is the page was handed out, looks like that. Anybody have that?
I have actually.
Okay. Now I'm just pulling out last week. Now I know this was the day before Thanksgiving. Okay, but I just wanted you guys to be able to see and remember, this is training. Okay, this isn't calling anybody out or anything else. I just took a day's figures and what I look at. I get an email every day. Okay? Mary Ann sends it to me. Okay? Because I got to keep track of things. You can't fix anything. John Harbaugh wants to know what happened at the game then. They read over, they look at videos, they do all kinds of analysis and everything else. They want to fix the problem right then and there. What's the guy up in the Patriots, that coach's name up there? Sillick? Gillick?
Belichick.
Snillick? Yeah. You think he's a numbers man?
Oh, well.
Oh yeah, he knows them numbers left and right. They got them headphones on, what do you think they're all talking about? Ordering lunch? Hey, how you guys feeling out there today? No, they got guys, statistics, plays. There's a guy that all his job is calling the plays. And do you think he just picks this out of the top of his head? Huh? No, he's looking at percentages. He looks how that defense is playing. And he looks at the highest percentage play that we got to run against the defense that we're looking at. Okay? All percentages. How many of you ever watched the movie Moneyball? Anybody ever seen that?
Yep.
Like baseball?
Mhm.
Yeah. What's it about?
Honestly, I don't even remember.
Yeah. It's about, I believe it was the Oakland A's, Stephen. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, that were one of the worst teams. You know, they lousy. They had no really good prospects and everything else. I guess one of the first teams that they hired a manager that sat down with them, a guy that sat down that was a statistics guy. He was a computer geek. And he said, this program will work. He said, we don't need the best outfielder out there. We don't need that. What we need is a whole team that does an average of good. Everybody follow me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we get to, well, we got this one guy, he bats 1,000 and he's the best center fielder that's out there. Hey, that center fielder can't win that game. You got to have a good pitcher, first baseman, all the way around. So what he did is looked at percentages of guys, and he put a team together, the percentages. They didn't win the World Series that year, but they went all the way to the playoffs. Wasn't it the next year they won, Stephen? But it was the next year they won. It was
They didn't win the World Series.
yeah, they were pretty dominant for several years at just that percent. Now every team uses those percentages. Everything is percentages. So let's take a look at this. Okay, the first one we're going to look at. This is 11/21. They're all the same dates. This was Kurt and Robert. Okay, did a total volume of how much that day?
452 or 425.
425.62, which is a total of 3 jobs. They punched in at, remember, we take what's on the clock. You guys want to be paid when you punch in. So we're paying you from you when you punch in. It's all figured in to, you know, what it costs to produce that amount of money that day. So punched in at 7:30, punched out at what time? 4:30. There was 2 guys on the truck. So from 7:30 to 4:30 is how many hours?
9.
9 hours times 2 guys. How many man hours? 18 man hours divided by 472 equals what?
Divided by 425 equals 23.65.
$23.65. Average dollar per man hour. Good, bad? Huh? No. What do we need? Where does it need to be? What is a B? To get a B. B for the month. What does your dollar per man hour have to be? Anybody know? You guys should know this. This is your paycheck. You should, yeah, I know these figures. I know these figures. On there. It's close to $50 a man hour. Okay, close to $50 a man hour. Okay, so you guys need to know where it needs to be, and this is what affects that percentage is a whole lot. Okay, let's look at the next one. Again, this is the same date. I think only 3 trucks went out that day. Okay, the next one is who? James and Chris. Okay. All right, James and Chris punched in what time? 7:30. Punched out at what time?
7:30.
7:30. That's how many hours?
12.
How many man hours?
24.
24. 12 plus 12 is 24. What's the total volume?
1194.76.
1194.76. Okay. So if you take 24 divided by the volume, which is 1194.26, what is the average job or dollar per man hour come out to?
49.79.
49.79. Good.
Yeah.
A whole lot better, right? A whole lot better. Okay, and then let's look at the next one. The last one, which is Tippy and Daniel. Okay, 2 jobs. What's the volume?
421.10.
421.10. Punched in what time?
7:20.
Punched out at what?
6.
Total hours are
10.5.
10 and a half. Man hours for that day is what?
11.
That's wrong.
21.
21.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that on here?
Yeah, it's 11 hours.
Must have been cut off on mine. So it's 21 man hours. Okay. Divided by the volume gives you a total dollar per man hour of what?
$20.06.
$20.06. Okay. This is what you guys need to keep your eye on. Okay. The clock, the cash register. And you remember that? The clock and the cash register. That's everything. That's what affects that bottom line. That's what affects, in football terms, wins and losses. Okay? Now, there's a lot of things that affect the clock. All right, what are some of the things that affect the clock?
Reduce.
Huh?
Reduce.
Reduce, sure. Absolutely, reduce. Yeah, we got to go back and do a job again. That's extra hours and time. That gets added on for no production. What's some other things that affects the clock?
Customers add-ons.
Huh?
Customers like adding on stuff.
Plus sales, right?
Yeah.
Plus sales, yeah. Got to have plus
It's
sales.
a good thing, but
What's-
at the same time, it messes up the clock.
No. If you got plus sales, remember that $1,000 day?
Mm-hmm.
That was probably some plus sales in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Still got up to $49 per man hour. Should have probably been less than 12 hours with two experienced guys
Well,
on
that
the
was
truck.
the one day we had to do the redo.
Okay, all right, even
It
at
took a
that.
while.
But the sales, getting the sales up, okay, helps the dollar per man hour greatly. Greatly. Okay? You got to get that dollar per man hour. Like the 420, the 420s, okay, if that was double, the dollar per man hour would be double and it'd be pretty close to in line. Why do we put a helper on the truck?
Yeah, help the tech out.
Help what?
Help the tech, pretty much.
Help what?
Help the tech.
Help the tech? Okay, by what? Just make his life easier, don't have
Make
to
sure
work too
everything's
hard.
set up for him, bring the hoses in and everything while he's...
Bottom line,
measuring.
why do we put a helper on the truck?
Makes
You got it, but the
Make it
bottom
text.
line is,
Make it faster.
make it faster, more productive, right? Productive, productivity is everything, okay? Productivity. If you're only gonna go out and do $400, and I did that myself. I couldn't hire a helper. I did days like that by myself years ago, 30 plus years ago, okay? You have much better equipment in there. You guys don't know how easy you have it. You guys used the bang clean stuff when we did legislative services?
Yeah,
How'd you like that?
that was great.
Imagine that's all you had. And my equipment wasn't even as good as the bang clean stuff when you started out. You guys, you don't know how good you got it. That Butler equipment is the best equipment that's made. Okay, there is none better.
Everywhere you
Okay,
go.
so why do we put a helper on the truck?
Product.
So that the technician can get the productivity up. So how do you do that with a helper? You got to be in sync. You got to be like that football team. You know, they're in sync. The good plays. How hard is it for a quarterback to hit a
Wide receiver.
wide receiver that's running a slant play in zone defense? How hard is it?
It's pretty hard.
Depends on how good their defense
You
is.
watch some of them slow motion catches on the good football players when they can just put that ball in a window. That's just amazing. And you know that window isn't there when he releases that ball. It's not there because he releases it. How many seconds does it take for that ball to get from his hand out to there? And they're both running. They're athletes running and the play is coming together. It's sync. Helper and technician have to be in sync. I had the same helper for over a year and a half, might have been 2 years, and then he became a technician. Okay, and we were just in sync. We didn't even have to say anything to each other. We just knew what each other was doing. We just knew. We knew what each other was supposed to expect. Doing the job right. I get in there, he'd be in there, the hoses would all be run. He'd be cleaning the first room by the time I'm getting done the ticketing. And I didn't have an app. I had to have a calculator and adding machine and add it all up. And go into the customer. He was done. He was cleaning the first room. Then I would go up there, grab the pre-spray, go to the next room. I would have the furniture out. I'd pre-spray behind it. While he's cleaning that room, he would come out, clean behind the furniture. He'd go back to finish in that room. I'd put the furniture back, tab it, spray that. I was on to the next room. So we worked in sync. When there was furniture, I couldn't run a separate one. I had a little machine about the size of a suitcase. It was called a fiber jet. It was yellow. And that's what I cleaned furniture with, is I couldn't run two lines. So we had furniture. He was doing the carpet with there, and I was down doing the furniture with it. So we really cruised through jobs. And guess what kind of a job we did?
Good job.
Good job. Customers have us back. referrals, repeat customers. Yeah, they wouldn't have us back if they didn't like it. You know, they would have us back. So that affects that greatly, tremendously. Okay? So, how are we going to get that percentage down? What do we need to do? I know we got new guys. Yeah, it's new guys. A lot of you new. I know it takes a little bit of time, okay, to get in sync, okay, to really start working. Okay, but you know, we have to make profit. There's no two ways. We cannot pay the rent here without profit. We can't pay payroll without profit. We can't pay insurance. We can't make the payments on that without profit. So yes, we do need profit. I think I'm going to start every pay period posting that report out there somewhere. I want you guys to look at it because that percentage needs to come down. Every football team does it. Every baseball team does it. Do you think the coach knows the batting average of every player on his team?
Yeah.
He may not know it to the exact number, but he's got a pretty good idea where it is. Football players, do you think the coach has their catch percentage in his mind?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Everything. Okay, these figures are your percentage. Okay, your productivity. How many trucks do we have? We can send out carpet cleaning? That's not a real hard question. How many we got? Four. We got 4 trucks. Okay, we want to put our best teams on those 4 trucks. You guys were hired, each and every one of you, because I know you've got the ability to do the job, the ability to do it. Every player that's drafted, they're drafted because they have the ability to do it. Do all of them become stars?
No.
I don't know what the percentage is, but the ones that's drafted, if you go 5 years from there, how many of them are still active players? That would be an interesting statistic to see. Let's see if we can find it on that. But what are some reasons why they wouldn't be able to continue being an active player after 5 years? They were drafted number one round. They were drafted after 5 years and not playing.
They weren't efficient.
They weren't efficient. They weren't doing the job. Injuries, yeah, injuries can happen. Personal problems. I mean, you know, all kinds of things can affect it. Okay, but they were drafted because they could see, the manager could see the ability that they had to be able to do the job. Does anybody have any questions on this? Don't understand anything? Comments on it? No? Am I missing anything? No? We good?
Yep.
Okay. Stephen, do you have the report? So let's go. What do we have on the list?
You have payroll on the list.
Payroll. If you have questions on payroll, okay, don't call Jean. She does the payroll though. Okay, send her an email. Do not call her. Send her an email. Does everybody know her email address?
Gene and Hydro.
Jeannie, Jeanne at hydro-clean.net. Okay? Call, we won't take care of it. Okay? Gotta send her an email. All right? Explain to her whatever it is about payroll, and we'll get it taken care of. Okay, I know there was a problem with payroll. There was something that wasn't in there. A couple new guys hired, one-time cards and everything else. Did we get it straight? Yeah, we'll get it straight. It'll always be straightened out.